Peace, everybody. Welcome to Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch.
Rob Jarrell.
And today we're going to preview this Saturday's boxing offerings. We got a pay-per-view card offered by Top Rank, which features Oscar Valdez in a featherweight title fight, Gilberto Ramirez in a super middleweight title fight. You got the debut of Olympian Shakur Stevenson and
Jesse
Magdaleno, and he's at 122, correct?
Right.
We got Jesse Magdaleno. He's in the title fight as well, isn't he?
Yes, he's defending his title that he won from Nonito Doneil.
All right, there you go. So that's on pay-per-view. And then on Showtime, we have Charles Hadley versus Jermell Charlo for Jermell Charlo's titles. We have Andre Berto versus Sean Porter in just a welterweight fight. I believe the winner of that gets Keith Thurman.
Yep, this is an eliminator as well.
Yes, and then on the Showtime Extreme portion before the main card, we have Amanda Serrano attempting to become the first Puerto Rican to win a title in 5 different weight divisions. So that should be good to watch, and she's also a very, very good fighter. So if you haven't seen her, I suggest you check that out.
We got to see her in person, right?
Yes, we saw her in person on the undercard of Jack DeGale.
Yeah.
She fought right after Emmanuel's fight. And yeah, I was highly impressed with her. So, like I said, check her out. We're going to start with the Top Rank card and then go into the Showtime card.
All right.
So, wherever you started, I'll pick up from there. Take it away.
All right. So, this is basically a showcase card that's showing not only silver medalists, U.S. silver Olympic gold medalist, silver medalist Shakur Stevens in his debut.
Stevenson.
Stevenson, yes. Shakur Stevenson out of New Jersey in his debut on a card which they're going to push him pretty fast, I believe. And I'll be interested to see, because he was a hot commodity coming out of the Olympics, to see how he's improved. He has that pro style. To see what we can expect in his first fight and in his career, because we know the one thing that Top Rank does, and they do well, is develop talent.
Yes, that's true.
And I'm talking about, they might have the best matchmakers in boxing today, and probably have had them the best matchmakers in the last 10 years.
Yeah, probably longer than that. They know what they're doing. We wouldn't know who Floyd Mayweather was if it wasn't for them. Manny Pacquiao. Well, Manny Pacquiao came around a little bit later. He built his name before that.
Say what you want. Oscar, yep.
Sugar Ray.
Say what you want. These
Ali.
guys know what they're doing.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to that, and you should too. I think the first fight after that is Jesse Magdaleno.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the person he's fighting. Adilson dos Santos. That's for the junior featherweight title, WBO. Actually, I think all of them are WBO title fights as well.
Yeah, because Gilberto Ramirez definitely has a WBO.
The guy is taller than Jesse Magdaleno, but I didn't see anything too special that would say he just really stands much of a chance. But this is boxing, and anything can happen.
Yes. Edward Trojanowski found that out the hard way.
Oh, yeah.
Among other guys. But we're going to move on from that one. We do expect Magdaleno to win that fight. The probably most competitive fight of that card should be Oscar Valdez versus Miguel Mariaga. We know Mariaga had a tough fight with Nicholas Walters, a fight that, nobody really expected him to be tough in. And the way Valdez likes to really get his fighters out of there, if he doesn't get Mariaga out of there early, he could be in for a tough fight late.
And Valdez is extremely talented. He's a 2-time Olympian for Mexico. I can't remember if he medaled.
I don't believe he did.
But he definitely has that pro style. He sets up
Keep going.
He sets up those punches very well. And my only issue with Valdez is he puts almost everything he can on each punch. I mean, he swings for the freaking fences every time out. And he's been able to get a lot of guys out of there. I think the only problems he had was with Ruben Tamayo, which he was knocked down from a combination of a punch and the feet being tangled up because he was fighting the southpaw. But he was still able to land some real good leather. I kind of want to see if he could put his combinations together because he's going to have to against Mariaga. Mariaga took as much as he gave against Nicholas Walters.
Yeah.
And he's only had that one loss. And he's been active since. I think he's fought 2 or 3 times in 2016. So this is not a guy, I think he's out of Colombia?
Colombia, yes, that's correct.
And if you know those Colombians, they are extremely tough. This is not a guy that he can take lightly, and neither should anyone watching. So I'm looking for an entertaining fight. I think Valdez does get him out there late, but I think he's really going to have to weather some storms in there.
Yeah, and that's the same thing we've been saying about Valdez. Like, we see the talent, we know he can be a star, but the issue is, like, he puts everything on his punches, and if one day someone like a Sorongvazai type of guy who's going to take everything you got and keep coming, we got to see him start to place his shots a little bit better, be a little bit more judicial with his punches and his work, and then possibly change speeds and angles and everything like that instead of trying to blast everybody out with every single punch.
And just looking at that, I mean, he's got some good names on his resume. You're talking about Hiroshige Osawa, Evgeny Gradovich.
Yeah, he was actually climbing the ladder for a while, and he upset what's my man? He used to be with 50 Cent's Promotions. Gosh, I can't think of his name right now. It was
who Gradovich?
Gradovich, yeah, he beat him twice. It was Billy Dibb. That's who it was. He had a title. He was, getting the name for himself. Gradovich killed that hype train, and then kept it moving from there. So let's move on to the main event of that card, which Gilberto Ramirez is returning from a injury after defeating Arthur Abraham to win the WBO title. Or no, I believe he defended it there. I'm gonna have to put that down.
He won it.
He won it that time.
Yeah, this is his first defense, if I'm not mistaken, because Abraham had kept it hostage for so long.
Yeah. So he's fighting Maxim Bursak, who is a lot similar to Arthur Abraham. They have like the similar guard. They like to stalk you, land some hard punches. I think Bursak works the body better, and he has better foot movement. But Abraham has him in power and also in timing and placement and accuracy, like Rob said. But Ramirez completely shut Abraham out. I think because of the footwork of Bursak, he may be able to get to Ramirez a little bit better, but I don't think he'll do enough to give him any serious issues unless he is rusty and the injury is not as fully healed as we think it is, or as he thinks it is. Other than that, I wouldn't see him Bursak winning more than 2 or 3 rounds.
He's going to give him some tough rounds. I think because Bursak is more willing to get on the inside. We know Abraham had that peekaboo style with a tight guard. Bursak doesn't have quite as tight a guard,
right?
But he's willing to get in there and work. Right. And Gilberto Ramirez he does a great job. His footwork has vastly improved as he's gotten better up until the Abraham fight. He's been able to use his length, and he's tall for the 168-pound division. He's about 6'2", 6'2.5", which is tall for any Mexican fighter, to be honest. And he's active. He can keep his hand moving, and accuracy has gone up, but like Abraham, Bursak should be there to be hit.
Right. So we're expecting him to showcase his talent and become a name in the 168-pound division. I know his promoter, Bob Arum, is really pushing for him to fight Golovkin if Golovkin moves up. Mm-hmm. I don't see that happening soon, but you never know with this sport. So we'll see how that works out. Let's move over to the Showtime portion where we got, like I said, Charlo Hadley and Berto Porter. We already talked about Serrano in the undercard. So Hadley and Charlo. This fight, Hadley hasn't fought since winning, beating Anthony Mundy in November of 2015. So this is his first fight in almost a year and a half.
Then before that, he fought once in 2014.
Yeah. So his activity has not been the greatest over the last 3 years. And Charlo, on the other hand, has been pretty active. He only had one fight last year, though, correct?
Just one fight last year, but it was against John Jackson,
Yes.
who, again, more grown up, tough fight, but he was able to pull out the TKO because he was getting outboxed by John Jackson in that fight.
Yes. Now, for this one, the reason we say that is because Hadley is known as a boxer, but he boxes differently than Jackson does. Jackson used his feet, he used his jab, and Hadley is more of a counter guy. He gets in a wide stance, kind of shifts back. He also fights primarily out of the southpaw stance, so it would look like this. And he likes to shift back on that foot and then charge forward with punches. With someone who uses his legs as well as Charlo, that might not be as effective as it was against the Anthony Mundines and the Richard Gutierrez's of the world. And with him being out so long, it may take him time to even get his timing down, which means we might see a lot of inside clinches and lulls in the action early on in the fight.
Also, kind of, Jamel is not the aggressive fighter like his brother Jamal is. Jamal is someone who is the knockout artist of the two. Jamel is more willing to box. I think Hadley will be more aggressive if he switches to the orthodox stance, because once he switches there, he'll work the jab and he tries to come with the overhand right and get inside. But he's nowhere near as accurate from the orthodox stance at all. His punches kind of lose form at that point, which I expected to once you switch stances, and that's not your norm, but kind of remains to be seen. I think he stays in that southpaw stance. Somebody's got to be the aggressor in this fight, and it's going to be interesting to see who that person will be.
Yeah, so like Rob said, Charlo likes to box. So if Hadley's going to sit back and wait for opportunities, Charlo is probably going to be very happy to sit back there and pepper him with his jab. He has a slight height advantage on Hadley. I think it's only like an inch or so. But both Charlo brothers have very wide shoulders, which leads to a very long reach. So he out there and just step with his jab and shoot it out and put a lot of distance between himself and Hadley and just circle around him all night and then just pepper him with like lead rights to the body and possibly hooks upstairs later on in the fight and cruise to a pretty easy decision. I'm not sure if he's going to do that or not, but that window is there because of how Hadley fights. And then when he charges forward, Charlo can just sidestep him and he'll have to reset and do it all over again. Now, if both guys are pretty rusty when he starts to charge, Charlo won't notice to move immediately. So that's why I said you'll get those clinches early on in the fight.
And something tells me it's just not going to be a fan. It's not going to be an aesthetically pleasing fight at all.
Yeah, this one is going to be for those guys who like to see guys trying to get their distance together, using those feints and angles, things like that, and working the fundamental urban style boxing. Those guys will probably like this fight. It'll be interesting to them once they both get going, because not many people like just the collision and then hold and then stop the action and reset. But it should heat up later on in the fight, and I think Charlo will take the decision and move on to some of the other bell holders in the division, maybe Andrade or someone of that nature. Because Canelo has vacated the 54 WBO, correct?
Yes.
And then Charlo vacated WBC 54. So
Give me a second. This is why I had my phone on me.
Good. So there should be some guys I think no, Andre has a WBA. So
What's my man that just won? He beat Tony Harrison.
that was Jared Hurd. He has the IBF.
Right. Yeah, this is for the WBC junior middleweight title.
So that was Jamal Charlo's old belt.
Right. Well, no, Charlo has that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Charlo already has it. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
But stay tuned for the main event because that's going to be the exciting fight of the evening.
We've got Andre Berto, who is a very explosive puncher. Sean Porter, who is a very aggressive physical fighter. There should be a lot of leather thrown in this fight. Now, there will be inside work on this one because of the way Porter fights and the way Berto fights. Berto likes to counter. He doesn't use his legs as much as, say, a Keith Thurman.
Right.
So he won't counter Porter and then sidestep. Berto's going to be there. So we might see some prolonged exchanges by both men because Porter's going to come forward. Berto's going to want to stand his ground. And for Porter, he has to look out for Berto's uppercut. His right uppercut is very nasty. And he can also uppercut and then switch it to the overhand very swiftly.
Who did he knock out like that? He knocked someone out
like Mickey Rodriguez, I think it was. It was a long time ago, but it was vicious.
It was,
and he also
quick.
got Victor Ortiz with it.
Yeah.
As well, but it was just the uppercut, and Victor went down and he finished him.
And knowing that Sean Porter does like to lunge in, he doesn't really box in, but his punches get ahead of his feet, so he lunges in. That's actually prime for him to land.
Right.
Now, I'm not sure he's going to knock Porter out because Porter's been knocked down, but you're just not going to get him out of there. It's almost like he gets hit, and we're going to turn that dial up just a little bit more.
Yeah, he's already on like 9 or 10, so he gets it turned up to 11. He's going to charge hard even more. But I think that's going to play into his advantage this time because, like I said, Berto's going to be there, and Berto can't get that timing down. Or he may land, but if he doesn't hurt Porter, then Porter's going to get in there, and he's going to work. And he's going to work the body. He's going to work upstairs. He's going to push Berto around. Mm-hmm. And Berto does have a tendency to fade sometimes in the later rounds. Porter does not.
At all.
So I'm thinking we get those collisions early on. By the 8th to 10th round, Porter's starting to bully Berto, and he'll probably bully his way to a unanimous decision. I do see Andre Berto having some spots because, like we said, he can court that uppercut. He's got his nice hand speed. His left hook is underrated, but because he likes to sit there a little bit more stationary with his feet, eventually Porter's going to get to him. And Berto is not the type to be like, okay, get off me. He's going to oblige him and try to work as well, which is going to lead to a lot of wrestling and inside work. And you get the wearing down and Sean Porter coming on late.
But this is his third or fourth fight with
Virgil Hunter.
Well, Virgil Hunter. We know Virgil Hunter can definitely add something to a fighter's abilities. So I would hope that he watched something similar to the Brook fight where he utilizes Berto's jab, knowing that he is faster, in my opinion, much faster, much more explosive than Brook. Hopefully kind of starts catching Porter coming in.
Yeah, it's possible because, like you said, Virgil Hunter is very smart. The question is, will Berto do it? Mm-hmm. And can Berto do it? Because he's not really that type of guy. He really is he is a kind of a catch-you-coming-in type of guy, but he's used to doing it against different types of fighters.
Right.
So that's the interesting thing with this fight. So we'll see how it plays out. I'm taking Porter by decision. Who you got?
I'm taking Porter by decision because his relentlessness works usually to his advantage, even in the Brook fight, even when he got knocked down in the Broner fight, and even in the Thurman fight, because that fight with Thurman could have been much further apart. But because of that relentlessness, it's not only a physical wear on you, but it's a mental wear on you. He's you could see that in the Broner fight. You could see it in even in the Thurman fight. It's just Thurman was starting to move too much, and you have a better chance if you can make Thurman overmove than letting him just move in the way that he wants.
Right. So in the opposition to that, Berto doesn't move that much.
Right.
So,
but he can force it because of his physical abilities and the fact that he is explosive. He does like to grind you out. It's not that he doesn't like to move, is if he's forced to move. Right. And at a certain point with that kind of pressure, you will be forced to move or you will get run over. So there is a point where you can only offer so much resistance before you give out.
Yeah. And that's why you're going with Porter.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. That's all we got, guys. Thank you for watching. Make sure you leave your comments below. Subscribe to get the update on the recap. Hit the bell icon. Hit us up on our social media networks. All the links are down below. And we will see you in the next video. Peace.
This is round one, and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fists are on fire. I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage. Keep thinking that it's a game. I kick rhyme, hurricane. I told them I don't play. I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighters.